if I told you that it doesn't actually matter who is elected president of the United States? The only reason why I would say that is because no matter who is in power, there is always going to be a group or organization behind the scenes who's actually in control. And today I want to talk primarily about that organization. And not only do I want to talk about them as the shadow government, but I am going to completely call them out. Sounds like a blast. Today's video is not meant to make you feel less than. It's not meant to make you feel disempowered. On the contrary, today's video is all about giving you the right information so that you can feel empowered to take appropriate action. So I'm not only just going to go over the main organization who is behind the scenes, who is the shadow government, but I'm really going to talk about what we as individuals can do about it. So, I have never before actually put a name to the shadow government, and today I am. Now, before I get there, I just want to mention if at any point this video is glitchy or it gets shut down or it gets very suspiciously shadow banned, please head over to my website. There are so many great videos there, and I post all of my YouTube videos onto my website completely ad and censorship free. Especially since there has been some really weird activity on my YouTube account recently, I highly recommend going to my website if you really want to cut through all of the BS, especially considering what we're talking about today. So let's talk about BlackRock. Who of you actually know about this company? I have been monitoring them and tracking them for a long time from a remote viewer perspective. For a very long time, I have remote viewed the shadow government, I have remote viewed reptilians, and a lot of underground military bases, and I end up in one particular place, and it almost feels like an office building, right? And so upon doing my own investigations, I discovered that this massive organization called BlackRock is one of the main organizations who is really running the entire world. So we're going to talk about exactly who BlackRock is, what they are doing in order for all of us to be informed, and then we're going to go into what we can do about it. Now, first of all, let's just talk about this statement that was made by, I don't know if it might have been the World Economic Forum, and they were talking about the 2030 agenda. If you don't know anything about the 2030 agenda, I've made a couple of different videos on the 2030 agenda, so please go check that out. And one of the things that they alluded to is that one day we will own nothing and we're going to be happy about it. That's a very scary prospect. And this huge international organization called BlackRock is actually doing just that. They are a huge, what are they? An asset management firm that has a tendency to have their hands in everything, not only just economics, but also things like mass media, politics, even food production, and the housing market. So we need to be informed about who they are, what they're doing, and what we can do about it. So I'm just going to read off a couple of other notes about who they are and what they're doing. So once again, they are the largest asset management firm in the world. They primarily focus on pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, governments, funding governments, and also huge corporations. They control the global economy. Have you ever heard the saying, too big to fail? That's basically BlackRock. Not only do they help governments handle crises like COVID-19, but in a lot of ways, and in some very conspiratorial ways, they help to create these crises, including different wars and economic downturns, in order to profit from it. So it's not great, guys. It's just not great. They are also right now buying up residential real estate, which is essentially driving up the prices, which is pushing pretty much the average everyday citizen to be a renter rather than a home owner. Now, the problem with the statement, you will own nothing and be happy about that, is that if we don't have ownership over certain things like, the place that we live or the car that we drive or the phone that we use, especially in today's, economy and inflation, it means that at any point in time, especially if they implement some sort of social system where we get some sort of score or credit system, kind of like what China is playing out right now. They will use face scanning technology to say, oh, did you cross the street wrong, right? Did you jaywalk? Okay, well, your social points go down. And because of that, you no longer can rent this out. You no longer can get a job, right? And so it's very fascinating how these sort of programs are being played out right now. If you don't have ownership over anything, then you don't have control over anything. In my very personal opinion, the best place that we could be is owning some sort of plot of land, even if it's an acre or two, that is more than enough to be able to grow our own food. But we're going to get to some of the solutions in a moment. Okay, so they're also pretty much in control of mainstream media. Now, they may not be directly owning companies, but they do have extremely high stakes in huge companies like NBC, ABC, and Disney. They also have significant political ties. I did a little research, and apparently they fund both the Democratic and the Republican Party, which, companies who fund governments in that way, they tend to be bipartisan. But once again, if there is no difference between both sides and the shadow government is in control of potentially both of those sides, it just sort of leads some question marks, right? So there's lots and lots of money from BlackRock that goes into lobbying every single year, but especially right now during the presidential campaign. And then also, former BlackRock executives have actually taken on high-level government roles. So it's so clear that everyone's just in bed with everyone else. But what we really need to focus on is the fact that the biggest driver in society at a global level right now, unfortunately, based on this old world system, is money. Money drives control. So, as much as we want to fight each other over the next presidential candidate and election, which I get, it's a polarizing time. However, we need to be looking at the organizations that truly hold way more power, way more control than just, say, a guy in front of a mic or a woman in front of a mic, right? We need to start looking behind the scenes, and BlackRock is the name that I can put directly in relation with the shadow government. And of course, it gets even more controlled and even more specific going beyond that. BlackRock is also known for developing a highly advanced AI system, and their system is called Aladdin. It's the Aladdin platform. But because they've already developed such a highly advanced AI system called Aladdin that helps them sort of mitigate risk and helps them with their asset management, there's a lot of people talking about them potentially developing even more powerful AI devices and platforms. And what would they do with that? Because they truly have access to a ton of information. And that's also really currency, right? As you know, data is currency. So, what can we do about this? The first thing is just to be informed, right? Information is not meant to scare us. It definitely shouldn't lower your vibration. It just should allow you to understand who's involved here. Who are the players involved in society, and how are they influencing us, and how are they implementing their 2030 agenda, right? So, the first thing that I recommend, beyond just informing ourselves of this information, grow your own food, right? And I know a lot of us live in four season places, and it can be difficult to grow our own food. But utilize the summer months, utilize spring, get to know how to grow your own food. Maybe you don't have a backyard, that's okay. I've gone from hydroponics in my closet in like a 750 square foot place to having a beautiful organic garden, and you just learn and you grow and you develop along the way. Pun intended. So please look into growing your own food, empower yourself. And there's something so incredibly unique about the ability to plant a seed, watch it grow, and harvest a tomato from it a month and a half later. Like there's just something so powerful about that connection, right? There's an appreciation that goes into what we're eating, especially when we want to start to focus on eating whole foods, foods from the ground. Okay. Get educated about money and control in general, and who in the world has money and control. Stop wasting your time in the dramas playing out around us, because that's what they want. They want you to be distracted by the show, the entertainment, the game, the facade, the illusion that's playing out in American politics right now. BlackRock is not American, okay? It may be based out of the US, but it is global, and we need to be looking at global control, global power. And then also, I recommend focus on the level of chemicals and plastics in your home, right? What in your food has high levels of sugar, has high levels of different sort of chemical compounds. Even like different food dyes can be quite harmful to us. So, really kind of take a look and evaluate. Are your containers plastic or are they glass? Take a look at different alternatives. What about your cutting board at home? I threw out all of my plastic cutting boards only just a year ago and switched to bamboo, and it's been amazing. And I know that I'm trying to mitigate or minimize the amount of plastics in my body, in my life. Okay, so just keeping those things in mind. I also recommend starting your own business. Now, I recommend this under the guise of freedom, right? I feel like in so many ways, when we're just working a job that the system has provided us, that's okay for the interim. That's okay for the time being. There's no guilt, shame, or blame around that. But if you truly want to break out of the matrix, do your own thing, and a lot of ways, when we, as old souls or star seeds, when we start our own business, there's usually some sort of give back initiative along with that. You know, giving back to humanity, empowering humanity, helping healing, you know, all of those aspects kind of go into that. And then also financially, there is never a cap on what you can do within your own business. Whereas when you're working for someone else, there's always going to be that hierarchy of control. So that's just a recommendation, but I know that it's not feasible for everyone to start their own business. This is just about how to combat these massive influential forces in society. And then also invest in precious metals. Right now, there's just a lot going on with, say, cryptocurrency and the stock market. And, I think we've all been preparing for a huge financial reset or collapse. And one of the things that will always stay true, one of the things that is more valuable than that $20 or $100 bill, it's more valuable than random numbers in your account online. If shit were to go down, you have that silver 1 ounce coin in your hand. I recommend silver over gold. Gold is way overvalued. Silver, I believe, is way undervalued. And if shit does go down and you don't have, say, crop to trade, like corn or something, I would recommend trading a silver dollar over a gold dollar any day, right? Okay. And then the last thing I want to mention is that we have the power. I've said this before and I'll say it again and I'll say it again and again. They are scared. They are. All we have to do is wake up and realize that we have the power. And the reason I am so sure that we have the power is because we have the numbers. When we come together and we boycott a product, we make a change. We can affect the world through our focus, through our intent, through our buying and purchasing power. We can affect the world by coming together and saying no. We have the power because we have the numbers. Period. Full stop. That's it. So this is a good time to be informed about what's going on. Funnel your anger and your energy and your, frustration. Funnel that into the right area. Inform yourself. If you really want to know what's going on, you have to peel back the layers from what we are being told. Stop choosing a side and follow the money. And beyond that, make little steps every day to exit the matrix, to choose to stop feeding into the system. And if you want more videos on shadow governments, reptilians, even the white hats and other aspects of what's going on. I mean, I just released a video last week about how to unblock your third eye. If you're interested in all of that and so much more, head over to my website. The majority of the content that I produce is there and definitely not on YouTube for a variety of reasons, but censorship is a really big one. Thank you all, as always, for being here. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and understand that you have the power. So it's time to start acting on it. Bye for now.